Hey my friends, this is Aldie, and today I want to talk with you about how you can become rich before the age of 30. Now, the definition of rich varies between different people. Maybe rich to you is $100,000 a year, maybe it's $100 million a year, maybe it's you becoming a billionaire. But whatever it is, you define your own definition of rich. And today I want to talk with you about how you can become rich in the monetary sense. Obviously you can become rich in many different ways too. But I want to talk about what you can do to become financially rich so that you can at least become a millionaire before the age of 30. And even if you're past 30, maybe you could do it before the age of 40 or 50 or whatever it is. But listen up really close, because I've actually done this. I've become a self-made millionaire myself, and I can tell you that these tips are very important, and I've stuck to it, and it's helped me to reach that $1 million mark. So listen up. The first way to becoming rich is to reject traditional methods. A lot of people are going to tell you, play the long game, right? Go to school, get good grades, get a job. They're going to tell you, stick with it, because you can be rich by the time you're 60. And you might be in your 20s or even in your teens, and you might be saying, that doesn't make sense. That's not what I want to do. That's not who I want to become. I want a convertible in my 20s. I want a Ferrari. I want a Rolls Royce. I want a big house in my 30s, And the fact is that you can get it, but you have to reject the traditional advice that you've been getting. A lot of times I like to focus on what I call the opposite equivalent. And so basically I look at people who are mediocre with their finances, and I like to do the complete opposite of what they do. So for instance, if someone says, this is too expensive or we can't afford it, I'll say, what can I do to afford it? What can I do to have this thing in my life? Or if someone says, go to school, get good grades, get a job, I'll say, what kind of conferences can I attend? What kind of books can I read? What kind of mentors can I find that can help me to become rich before the age of 30? Traditional advice would abundantly be provided, but you have to be willing to reject it. 95% of people are going to tell you you're silly. They're going to tell you you're downright stupid for following your dreams. And the fact is that you've just got to reject it, even if it's people in your family, even if it's your best friends. You've got to be able to go along your own path and follow and develop that idea that can manifest into wealth. A very good example of someone who rejected traditional advice is Oprah Winfrey. Now, as Oprah was growing up, her grandmother used to tell her, why don't you find a good old white family to work for? You'll be set for life. But Oprah rejected the advice. She knew that she was going to speak in front of millions of people and exerted her own creativity to be a TV icon for our generation. Think about the things that people have been telling you, the constant reinforcement that our society receives, who we should be or what we should do or how we should act or how we should walk or how we should talk. And there's so many people who are breaking through that we really need to study from, that we really need to understand if we want to become rich before the age of 30. So make sure you reject tradition and believe in yourself. The second way is to invest. Now, a lot of people tend to have their money taken away because in their 20s, if they've gone to school, they're paying off student loans. So that's going to cost them a couple hundred or even a couple $1,000s in some cases every single month. But the problem with this is that you can actually defer your student loans and use that money to pour it back into your mind so you can learn and grow about who you are and what you want to do in your life. In fact, you want to force yourself to mature. A lot of people think that maturity is something that happens as you age, but maturity is something that you decide that you want to take full responsibility over, and that's how you actually become more mature. What money do you have available to invest in yourself? Maybe you need to take a loan from a credit card or even a personal loan from the bank. Maybe you need to borrow from your friend or a family member or a church. Whatever it is, try to take some money and pour it into yourself. Obviously, if you can earn it, make sure you do that too. But keep on investing in yourself. Keep on taking every dollar you have and invest it in your mind, invest it in your soul, and invest it in your purpose if you want to be rich before the age of 30. Personally, I always knew I was going to be rich, but I didn't know what to do until I made the initial investment and invested in myself. I started reading. I started writing, I started learning from other people, watching videos, listening to programs, and it helped me out a lot. However, once I reached a plateau, about 2 years in, I realized that I had to fork up some cash if I wanted to learn more. Unfortunately, I had to sell my car, which allowed me to go to a conference that ended up changing my life. If I wasn't able to make that sacrifice in myself, I never would be right here talking with you. The best investment you can ever make is the investment in yourself. Remember, if you invest in yourself, everybody else in the world will invest in you. Become an attractive person by investing in who you are and what you want to become, and I promise you, you will be rich. The third tip is to reject distraction. You have to realize that distraction is a choice, and a lot of people create their own distraction. If you look at our society, we have about a holiday every month, and people are flocking to the stores. People are flocking to distractions. People are worrying about Santa Claus or thinking about turkeys when they should be thinking about their purpose. They should be thinking about what they want to accomplish and what they have to do to get it all done. You have to be willing to say no to friends and yes to work. Family members are always going to bug you and say, oh, you gotta come, and they might even make you feel guilty or make you feel shameful. But you have to listen to yourself. And if you want to read a book and stay home, then do that. You don't have to spend 8 hours going to a family event if you don't have to. Maybe some friends are asking you to come to the bar with them, come to the bowling alley. You have to understand that your time is your time and you have to protect it. You have to reject those distractions and work on yourself, work on your dream, and help yourself become who you were called to be. When I was starting my business, I had so many people that wanted my attention. They made fun of me. They called me names. They said I was boring. They said I was foolish. Some of them said it won't even work out. But the fact is that I kept on going and going and going. There's sometimes I had to stay home for Thanksgiving. I had to stay home for Christmas. I had to stay in for New Year's. It's not because I would have wasted my time. It's that I would have wasted my energy thinking about all these things that I didn't have to think about. I wanted to conserve myself and realize my deeper purpose, and so I stayed home and focused on who I was becoming, and that's why I'm here today. The fourth tip to becoming rich before you're 30 is to hustle. There's an old saying that entrepreneurs are the only people who are willing to work 80 hours a week to avoid a 40-hour work week. Now that's funny, but it's true because real entrepreneurs are willing to work any time, pay any price, and do whatever it takes to reach their highest dream. If you want to get your hustle on, the best way to do it is through business. Now, you can get your sales job or you can specify in some kind of field, but the fact is that through entrepreneurship, it might be slow to start for some of us, but eventually we start building momentum and we start doubling and tripling our income in just a short period of time. So find some kind of hustle that you can stick to that will allow you to do this on the highest level. When it comes to hustling, you need a product to sell and a story to tell. Whether you're flipping couches or cars or fish tanks even, whatever it is, make sure you have the product of your choice, the product that you're in love with, and have a story that goes along with it. Make sure people can trust you. Make sure you learn how to market it and sell it correctly, and refine your processes as time goes on. If you get your hustle on, you will become rich before the age of 30. Even to this day, I'm always hustling. I'm always working. I rarely take time off. Now, I enjoy my life because thankfully I work with people that I love, so I don't have to find a vacation or take some time off to a place that I have no business being in. But the fact is that I'm always working. I'm constantly refining. If you look at me as I go through my habits, as I go through my rituals, as I even go through these videos, I'm always in tune with what I want to do. I'm always ready to hustle because I know what I want in the end. So turn your hustle up. The fifth and final tip is to believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, everyone else in the world will believe in you. You have to know that it can happen to you. Like I said, you might be young. You might not know exactly what to do, but you have to believe that it's possible, that it's going to happen, and that if you just trust the process, you will develop and become the person that lives out the promise. Now, you might be having a hard time believing in yourself because you might be in a toxic environment. You know, this happens to a lot of us. We want to do big things and we're stuck in a job that's holding us back, or maybe our parents are telling us that we're silly, or our siblings or our friends, Or maybe we just don't work in or live in an environment that's conducive to what we want to do. What we have to be willing to consider is that if we're able to get out of that condition, if we're willing to change our environment, eventually that can change our life. But you've got to be invested in yourself, and you've got to have faith before you make it happen. In summary, becoming rich before 30 or any other specified age is totally possible. Give yourself some time and follow these tips that I suggested in this video. Watch it over and over again and share it with some people that want to become rich before the age of 30.